got gators in it.
Oh, yeah? Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
They shouldn't have given you ashy blokes YouTube.
Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
All right. You Dusty Jermaines, you Ashy Jeffries, and you Dirty Foot Jose's back in the building, punching the clock. This one has been going around a bit, but it points to the power of social media and the power of the manosphere, because I don't think these things would happen without the manosphere. I really don't. And MGTOW is another one of the factors that in the manosphere that is causing some of these changes. Okay, because the state wants children, the state wants families. It's going to have to change. Okay, is because what we're doing is not forcing the women to do anything, but we're pulling back the men. If you want our cooperation, you're going to have to earn it. Anyhow, let's welcome some people. You losing? What's going on? Shout out to you for the interview. Yeah, I know he needs 5 shots. Yeah, we were watching that. That's why I was telling him. He was getting upset, man. I said, just calm down and let her talk, okay? Let her talk herself into a hole, which she did. And after she finished talking herself to the hole, and she figured out, oh, wait a minute, I'm in a hole. Let me calm down and be more reasonable, which she, at the end, she did. Gundam, what's going on? Shannon Green, what's happening? Instant Media. Yep, Kentucky confirms that if you just is right, change the environment. Yep. Lazarus, the Waffle House King, what's going on? Adric, what's on? What's going on? Ricky, what's happening? Shannon, the Gift, what's happening? Eddie, what's going on, man? Doing donuts in the parking lot, man. It's it's October, man. It's getting ready to be October, man. So you gotta get it in while you still got this fall weather. St. Cyr, what's happening? Quentin, what's going on? Trail, what's happening? B. Quaid, what's happening? Samuel Isaacs, what's going on? Basically, it depends on what you want your body to look like, okay? If you, and what your time looks like, okay? Nothing beats the gym, okay? It is what it is. There's nothing that beats the gym. You can get a gym, and you can put in 3 hours a week in a gym, okay? That'll help your tone your body up and help with your muscles. And the other part, if you really want to get your cardio up, I would say get a stationary bike. Stationary bike with variable resistance, doesn't take much. Your little dial that you turn, okay? Get you a stationary bike with variable resistance, and get you and mount your smartphone to it and get you a Tabata timer. And about 20 minutes, you can do 20 minutes a day, 20 minutes 4 times a week. Okay, it will help with your maintaining your weight. Also help with your cardio. About 20 minutes a day should be all that you need. So basically, if you can do weights 3 hours a week and 20 minutes 4 or 5 times a week with your stationary bike and a Tabata timer, that's all you need. Luther, what's going on? Hurricane Greg, what's happening? TB, what's happening? Yeah, well, the environment always slowly changes, but thing is, it's the state has its needs. Eric Dedman, what's going on? Private broadcaster, what's happening? Prince, Palm Beach Mike, LAXT, what's happening? So far so good, man. You know how they say, it's not how the elephant dances, it's whether the elephant dances at all, right? Mark, what's happening? Paul, what's up? Horowitz, what's going on? Craig, what's going on? The law in Kentucky has changed, and the women are pissed. All hail the manosphere, yes. So was it Bartolomeo or whatever they call him? Okay, all hail Bartolomeo. Bartolomeo's on a rampage. McKinnis J, what's going on? Moses Etienne. Horowitz, what's happening? Michael, what's happening? Good evening, Master Teacher. I'm going to do a divorce in Kentucky right now, and the 50-50 custody is a game changer. Yes. Yeah, basically it's the reversal of the old, not quite the reversal, but equalization of the old 10 years doctrine that's been around since 1840, 1830, 1940 with Caroline Norton. That was Martin. I was actually in the chat when he was doing the interview. And that's why I said if you go back and look in the chat, you can see me telling him to calm down and let her talk because she was trying to crash the interview by talking through him. I said she doesn't really know what she's talking about. Let her talk. Let her talk herself into a hole, which she did. I suspect women will stop wanting marriage when divorce is no longer. Depends. Okay, if they want kids, very difficult to raise kids by yourself. Okay, that's number one. And as this system starts to cut the safety net from underneath these women, they're gonna have to marry, and for survival sakes. People think marriage is a sacred thing. It's not. It's a social instrument for survival in raising children. I could care less if they get married at all personally. Well, I'm too old for that shit anyway. Down with child support. Child support should have gone out when feminism was actually enacted. Okay, it should have gone out. Child support is an old patriarchal holdover. Richard Creed, what's going on? TJ Focus, what's going on? Lord Blackstar, what's going on? BGS is the GOAT. I heard that. Bowie Banks, what's happening? So the Young Lions vocal run at the end always gets me. Yeah, had a single grown man tear fall out. He's doing well, man. He's doing well, man. But he's I think he's got a play that he has to do, so he's been putting in 7 days. But that's what he loves. Terrell Boxley, what's going on? Dead Set, what's up? We might review that stuff that you did with Dr. T. Dead Set. Palm Beach Mike, what's going on? Neo One, what's happening? The Black Toxic, what's going on? B-Roll, what's happening? Barry Hamilton, what's going on? Guy Rogers, burpees. Yeah, burpees do help. Okay, they're not as efficient as. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's no one way, best way to do it. There's more efficient ways to do it. It just depends. What's up, Dr. L's? He's got the patience of Job. Dr. L was getting pissed. Okay, I saw Dr. L getting pissed. I saw that cop start to come out in Dr. L's. Okay, Dr. L's wanted to handcuff her and put her in the car because she was getting disrespectful for a second. Okay. Burpees are okay. It depends on what you have. Burpees, burpees for somebody my age are hard on the knees though. Dusty, what's going on? Babu, Pragmatic Prime, what's going on? I'm listening. Inspired Truth, what's going on? Yeah, bike is a little easier on the knees and easier on the body. Supreme Pivot, what's going on? There's Woo Man Charles. Adrian, what's up? When you sell them T-shirts, are you a cheerleader or are you an analyst? I heard that. Uh, Michael, what's going on? Indigo Flow. Dr. Thunder, what's happening? Alan Lavelle, what's happening? Trail, what's happening? Landon, what's happening? Pushing the needle, yep. Ron Brown, perfect timing, yep. If burpees, it depends on what you want, okay? The watch it. Salute BGS 5050 is wonderful. I like that. If men really want to divorce because his wife is insufferable, he can still have time with his kids and not lose his resources. Yeah, that's true. More men might start filing for divorce, okay, if it equals out. Gundam, what's happening? Yeah, you know what? That's how come I don't have the patience of say uh, um, like a Dr. L or a Jeff or even a Kevin. Kevin, believe it or not, Kevin had a lot of patience, man. I don't have that kind of patience because if they start yapping at me, I go for the juggler. May you live in interesting times. Times are interesting to say the least. Oh, you know what? I think I might do this tomorrow, man. About um, Elon Musk, man, is getting ready to fuck over the banks. And I'll tune in tomorrow. I will show you that because I was just looking at his video today, okay, about housing. That's gonna fuck over the banks, okay, big time. That's is a lot of your housing's getting ready. If this goes through, housing's getting ready to crash, and then the banks are gonna have an issue, okay, with these mortgages. All Star G, what's going on? Guy Rogers, what's going on? TB, kettlebell, those are just resistance. Depends on how you use them. If you can make it to the gym is actually better if you can make it. Okay. The variety of weights in the gym is actually better if you can put in the time and make it. W Brizzle, evening BGS. Very interesting how a target removal reduction of. Yep, can change behavior, change the environment, change the behavior. Yes, sir. Jay Casey, what's going on? The 6 laps is a mile and a half. Yeah, that'll do. But it depends on you because to run a mile and a half depends on your age and all kind of stuff. Also depends on your knees. Mr. Donnie Mack, what's going on? Miguel, am I late for class? No, you're not late for class. Okay, we're just doing introductions right now. I said Martin Muhammad, salute to Dr. L who could develop a course or teach a master class on patience, especially for us brothers who get triggered easily. Dr. L's is getting ready to come out of his jacket for a second, man. She was getting to him. Let's see. Yeah. The best one about running that I've seen, believe it or not, is the marathon monks in Japan. Okay, that is the best running exercise video I've ever seen. Okay, go look at the marathon monks. If If you want to be inspired, go look at the marathon monks. If you don't come out being inspired by them, you won't. Yeah, high intensity training, calisthenics, jump rope keeps the game. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of ways to slice the same thing. Which show for Dr. Els? Dr. Els is right there. He can he can put your link put the link in for you for that video, Dr. L. Yeah, I have a lot of paper, but I hate to. Hey, you and May are not meant to be on the same panel. I can tell that. That's it. Oh, TK, wait. Yeah, the thing is that um, and this is something that came from a orthopedist, right? He said that actually, it does it for the Lakers. He said when you get past 40, okay, running on hard surfaces are bad for your knees and your hips, okay. And he suggests the bike or the pool. You want to preserve your knees and your hips, according to him, bike or pool. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Since we're about 20 minutes in, let us start with this one because this is where it's not where it started, but this is I'm gonna show this one first as the intro, and then we're actually gonna go through the article for Wall Street Journal. I think what about a couple of months or two ago, um, about the Kentucky thing. So bring this down here. Elliptical's fine, but thing is, um, I'm just telling you what will work the best. Okay, elliptical is fine. But what will work the best that I find if you can get a bike, okay, stationary bike at home with variable resistance, because I have one, right? It's got a little dial you can with a resistance pad, right? And you can dial it up, dial it down, get you a good Tabata timer, okay? Get you which is a hit timer, right? High intensity training, right? And 20 minutes on that will actually give you an hour's worth of workout. Okay, this is the most efficient way you can do it. You can do it other way. I'm not saying you can't do it other ways, but there's other ways to do it. But things you asked me for the most efficient way. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this done. Now this is the author from the Wall Street Journal telling you about the article that we're going to read right after this.
Shopping in Kentucky. I went there to figure out why. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to make 50-50 shared custody the default. That means that children split their time equally between both parents, and fathers pay less in child support the more time that they spend with their children. Before that, judges decided custody based on what they called the best interest of the child. Fathers said that usually relegated them to an every other weekend arrangement, the so-called Disneyland dad effect, while mothers got to spend most of the time with their children. Since the law passed, divorce rates have dropped. Between 2016 and 2023, divorces in the state fell 25%, compared to 18% nationwide. It's hailed as a victory for fathers' rights, but the story is more complicated. Some critics of the law say that people are staying in abusive marriages because they're afraid of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. One mom told me that her husband nearly killed her in 2023. She filed criminal charges and he was arrested. But less than 2 weeks after he got out of jail, a judge awarded him 50% custody of their son, indicating that the abuse wasn't a factor since he didn't lay hands on the child. The law has become a model for other states. Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri have passed their own versions of the equal custody presumption. Around 20 other states are considering it.
Anyway, but that's the author doing that one. Okay. I was looking at some background material. Um, Kentucky and Indiana had the highest divorce rates in the country. That's why they did this. Okay. Kentucky's divorce rate was like almost 20%, 19.6%, 19.2%, right? Almost 20%, right? Okay. After the 50-50 custody law, it's one of the lowest, right? It's down to like it's down right around the normal, which is like 12%. So from 2018 to to 2024, 2025, 2024, which is about 6 years, they've they've cut their divorce rate 25%, and it's still dropping. Okay, still dropping. You say white supremacy falling apart. They have to do something. Yeah, yeah, that's well, yeah. There's things they can do, but what do you think the motivation is behind the change? Oh, it's real simple. Okay, basically, um, you don't have a society without families. And if the men are refusing to marry and participate, you're gonna have to do something, right? Okay. Ain't no man gonna go into Kentucky or Indiana and look at the divorce rate being 20%, 18, 20%, and get married. Okay. If one to five, if the yearly divorce rate is 1 in 5, you are not going to get married. You're going to be very, very hesitant to get married in that state. Okay. Marriage sanctioned by the state is long-term financial investment that favors the. Well, the thing is, marriage. Um, the ultimate product of a marriage is not money. Okay. The ultimate product of a marriage is citizens. Okay. You gotta have people. Money doesn't matter as much as people do. Okay. No amount of money is going to produce a child. Okay, you got to produce and raise a child, right? Every child's is worth about 200,000, well, $300,000. Okay, because if you have to import somebody and retrain them, it's going to take that amount of money. All right, this is. I think this is it. Hold on. Okay, and this is the actual article. Meanwhile, it does help remove the financial burden off the state for public assistance and the single parent infrastructure like visitation center, all that. Yeah, because the women do not, most women cannot maintain a single parent household by themselves. Okay, either you got to fund it, which men do fund it with divorce and child support, with support from the state. Okay, that also puts more pressure on the family unit. Okay, I can tell you, okay, I got neither one of my daughters are married, right? Okay. The families have to really bend in and help and raise these kids, okay? Fortunately, my daughters have a pretty good village. And so my kids, so my grandkids are normal is because the village puts in an enormous amount of work. So but guess what? Okay, that's the work that the father should be doing. And then you have to maintain her on top of that. So it's just ugly. Okay, it's just an ugly thing. That's why when they screwed up marriages, man, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort went into it. Not just for the state, but also uh, um, the families. Okay, it's a big cost center on the family. That's like marriage uh, was such an important instrument for going back 150,000 years, right? Marriage is very important. So don't put. So basically, you make two adults responsible for their offspring, right? A lot less resources, a lot less stress on the society, a lot less stress on the family by having that. Most two-parent households put a lot less stress on the family. Anyway, this is the article. I think it's when is it? September 6, 2025. Okay. Divorce plunge in Kentucky, equal custody for fathers is a big reason why. And we are going to get lazy and we're going to let them play it, okay? Since we got the listen button. Give me one if you can hear it.
Divorce plunged in Kentucky. Equal custody for fathers is a big reason why. A law
Give me one if you can hear it. All right. Okay, cool.
setting 50-50 shared custody as the state's standard was hailed as a victory for fathers, but critics say it puts mothers and children at risk. By Rachel Wolf. September 6, 2025, 10:53 a.m. Eastern Time. Bowling Green, Kentucky. The dads were not all right. It was 2017, and across Kentucky, divorced fathers were coming together against a common enemy, a custody system they felt favored their ex-wives. Although custody laws in Kentucky and elsewhere granted judges discretion to decide what split was in a child's best interest, aggrieved fathers claimed that this typically meant relegating them to the role of every other weekend Disneyland dads.
That's been the standards for since 1840, okay?
Forced to cram 2 days of fun into what mothers had 2 weeks to create. You become like Uncle Dad instead of a parent, said Rob Holdsworth, 53. In 2014, he reluctantly uprooted his life and civil service career in Dayton, Ohio, to relocate to Bowling Green, where his ex-wife had moved with their 2 sons. He took the only job he could find, working nights in a soap factory, to see the boys just a few times a month. It was very depressing to be here, a couple of miles away from my kids, and be told I'm not going to get to see them more than that, Holdsworth said. Alone in the house near his son's elementary school, wandering in and out of their empty bedrooms, staring at the Daddy You Are Our Superhero crayon poster they gave him for Father's Day. Holdsworth had more time than he knew how to fill. He resolved to spend it lobbying for legislation granting dads like him more rights in a divorce or separation. Around the country, the fathers' rights movement was gaining momentum. Dividing time and decision-making equally between parents, advocates argued, reduced children's feelings of abandonment, promoted gender equality, and lowered tensions between feuding couples. There is no law that affects more people other than taxes or traffic, said Matt Hale, vice chair of the National Parents Organization, an advocacy group formerly known as Fathers and Families. Giving kids equal access to both their parents is just common sense. Dads like Hale and Holdsworth found a sympathetic ear in lawmakers including Jason Nemes, a Kentucky state representative whose own father was his primary guardian after his parents divorced. In 2018, Kentucky became the first state to pass a law making equally shared custody the default arrangement in divorces and separations. For other states, Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri, have since passed their own versions of Kentucky's custody bill. Around 20 more are considering or close to passing similar laws, according to an analysis by the National Parents Organization. The law has become a model for other states, not least because Kentucky's divorce rate has plummeted. Between 2016 and 2023, it fell 25%, compared with a nationwide decline of 18%, according to an analysis by the National Center for Family and Marriage Research at Bowling Green State University. Hale calls the drop in the divorce rate an unintended bonus of the custody law. He suggested that parents are increasingly likely to stay together because they realize they'll be in regular touch regardless, so they might as well work it out. He added that he's heard stories of couples who decided not to break up because of the presumption of shared custody, and years later are glad they stayed together. Yet some argue that these impressive numbers hide a far more complicated story. People think divorce rates going down is a good thing and that it indicates stability in marriages, when that's not always the case, said Bowling Green Family and Marriage Center Assistant Director Krista Westrick-Payne. She explained that the divorce rate typically goes down when couples believe the costs of leaving outweigh the benefits.
Yep, there we go. Bingo. Okay. No cash and prizes. It's going to cost you way more. Child support's going to go down or be non-existent. So guess what? It's cheaper to keep him, right? Instead of cheaper to keep her. Cheaper to keep him.
Some people are staying married to abusive partners, critics of the law say, because they are terrified of leaving their children alone with a parent with a history of violence. They know their kids are safer if they stay, said Elizabeth Martin, chief executive of the Louisville-based Center for Women and Family, which provides services to victims of domestic violence, most but not all of whom are women, even if it means taking some beatings. In harm's way, Many of the Kentucky law's detractors are quick to acknowledge that dads often struggled in custody hearings before the new mandate took effect. They agree that a more equitable division of parenting labor is a noble goal. They're just not sure a presumption of shared custody is the best way to do it. They worry, too, about the dire cases that seem to be slipping through the cracks. We have seen this law put kids in harm's way, said Darlene Thomas, who runs Greenhouse 17, one of the state's largest domestic violence programs. She explains that judges are wary of trampling on parents' rights, which places a hefty burden on any who hope to prove that a fellow parent is abusive or that splitting custody evenly is not in the best interest of the children. It makes it harder for judges to consider the whole picture. Greenhouse 17's 42-bed shelter for domestic violence survivors sits amid horse pastures, rows of carefully tended flowers, and a grove of apple trees 20 minutes outside of downtown Lexington. Thomas says Kentucky's shared parenting law has upended the nature of her work. Before 2018, she said she helped her clients legally, physically, and emotionally separate from their abusers. Now, she said she is often helping them figure out how to stay.
Yep. Yep. Strange how when the money changes, the attitude changes, right? You change the environment, you change the law. They can still leave. If they really abuse, they can still leave, okay? They just can't take his money with them.
What the presumption says to many survivors is, why fight it? Why tell your story if it's already presumed there will be a 50 to 50 time?
Exactly. Men were saying that. That's like men didn't fight for their kids, okay? Why fight it when you walk into court? You know, I said the same thing, right? Because when I separated from my baby mama, right? When I separated from my kids, first thing I did was before I even did that, I sat down with a lawyer. I said, okay, what are my rights? And she said slim or none. Okay. The odds you getting those kids, slim or none. So the best you can do is try to have an influence on where she sends them to school or what kind of church. I said, is that it? She said, that's it. So I said, okay. So in other words, why fight it? Okay, unless you're gonna spend a whole lot of money, a whole lot of time. I know people have spent like 10 years and like a few $100,000, man, to get custody of their kids or at least shared custody of their kids. So life's too short. And Slim just died. Yeah, the money is an incentive. Yeah. Oh man, I'm telling you from a man that's gone through it. Okay, because my ex used to call child support my money. So is that how it is? Not the kids' money, my money. All right. I said, okay, fine. So in other words, you're just another bill collector to me.
Share, said Thomas. Women file into her office one by one, each of their stories more disturbing than the last. One mother who shares custody with her ex-husband said her son has returned to her with a dislocated shoulder and admits he doesn't feel safe with his father. Both her son and daughter, she said, have recently come back distraught after their dad started throwing rocks at cats and wanted them to join in. Another mother of 2 young boys said she worked up the courage to leave her husband over 2 years ago after years of being hit and strangled, but was horrified when a judge awarded her ex 50% custody. She pulled up photos on her phone showing how her sons have returned from their dad's house with fingerprint-sized bruises on both sides of their ears and hematomas on their arms.
Well, if that's the case, then why are you showing it to her, okay? CPS should get involved. That's bullshit. The state will intervene with that. That's why I said that's bullshit, okay? CPS, if she took those photographs and those kids to a doctor and got CPS involved, okay, they'd strike his parental rights within days. Why go to a shelter and complain, okay? CPS could take care of that within hours. That's why it's bullshit, okay? That's not no thing is this bullshit anecdotal evidence, okay? It's bullshit, okay? I dared my son's mom to take me to child support, especially since she's living with me. I told her I will embarrass you to the point that you will owe me money. Yeah, Charles, has she paid you $1? You had him for 18 years. Has she paid you $1? Because when I had my daughter for 5 years. I didn't get not one red cent. Okay, and I was sending her to private school and all kind of shit. Okay, did not get one red cent.
She now wonders if her boys would have been better off if she had stayed with her ex. Hale, who wrote the first draft of the shared custody legislation, says there are lots of safeguards in Kentucky's law that
Yes,
protect children from being
yes,
placed in a dangerous situation.
yes.
He notes, for example, that if one parent is subject to a domestic violence order, the presumption of 50-50 custody is automatically overturned. For Kimberly Rummage, 39, dozens of phone recordings of her husband's abuse weren't enough to persuade a
No,
Kentucky judge to override the custody
no.
split. She
Yes, it
said
was
that after
bullshit.
her husband nearly killed her in 2023, she applied for an emergency protection order.
Nearly killed her. Okay, if he nearly killed her. How come he's not in jail? How come he's not in jail? Attempted murder, especially against a spouse, you're gonna do at least 6 months in jail. How come he's not in jail? That's bullshit. And a white woman too. That's bullshit. BGS, that story. That's my story right now. My daughter lives with me, and I get nothing. She goes to private school and all that. Yeah, it's because men just do what's necessary, man. We don't sit there and cry about fucking child support. Okay, my kids, my responsibility, my wallet. Some bras that complain. Yeah, false calls and threats to get CPS involved. Also, blue leashing. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, the chain of custody and evidence sounds very fraudulent in this case. Yeah. If he damn near killed you, okay? If he damn near killed you, the police, he should be in jail. They have Violence Against Women Act, okay? You cannot put your hands on women like that. So that's bullshit. Anyhow, continuing.
And filed criminal charges. When he was arrested, she assumed the worst was over. But just a few weeks after her husband's parents bailed him out of jail, Rummage said he was granted 50% custody of their son. She said the judge indicated his abuse wasn't a factor since he didn't lay hands on their son and was contesting the domestic violence protective order.
Yeah, he contested it. All right, he's got to go to a judge. If they thought that child was in, if they thought that child was in harm's way, um, then they're taking the child. That what they find out is that the child is far more likely to be harmed with the mother than the father.
A few months later, Rummage said, I got the domestic violence order, and nothing changed. Rummage Sex didn't reply to a request for comment. 3 Christmases. We have all been watching Kentucky, said Emma Johnson, a divorced shared parenting advocate and author of The 50-50 Solution.
Mm-hmm.
She said she believes her kids are best served by spending as much time with their father as they do with her. Johnson argues that the expectation that kids belong with their mothers holds women back. I can't get ahead at work if I am always taking time off to pick up a sick kid, said Johnson, who lives in Richmond, Virginia. Micah Wood Pence, a family court judge in Kentucky whose office is full of stuffed animals for children to take home, spends hours on the phone discussing the law with judges in other states. She reassures them that a 50-50 custody standard won't limit their ability to rule as they see fit in individual cases.
True.
The law is meant to be a helpful starting point, Pence tells them, not in order to be followed blindly. To reinforce her point, she reads out snippets of Kentucky's amended law. The court will start with the assumption that both parents should have equal rights and responsibilities regarding their child's upbringing. This, she explains, is exactly the kind of fairness she had hoped for during her years representing fathers as a family lawyer before becoming a judge in 2018. There are always going to be concerns, said Pence. The way to counter concerns is not to make bad laws for everyone else. You can't set up laws for all families that are based upon the worst circumstances. But Douglas Naeme, a family law professor at Yale Law School, is not convinced that the law adequately accounts for what could go wrong. We know many people experiencing domestic violence, for good reasons, don't necessarily get an order of protection, said Naeme, explaining that many women are too afraid of retribution or of not being believed to pursue a formal order. Now there's a presumption of equality that they need to overcome. Father's rights advocates take heart in the example set by Holdsworth in Bowling Green, who credits the law with allowing him to play a more meaningful role in the lives of his sons. His devotion to his children is evident throughout his home. Fruit and granola bars are laid out neatly on kitchen countertops, and framed high school report cards decorate the walls, alongside a chart listing the dollar value of each A. I started paying them for their grades because I say that's their job, Holdsworth said. He can afford $30 for straight A's, he added, because the custody judge ruled that Holdsworth no longer had to pay child support.
Yep.
Recently, Kentucky's
Say
legislature...
it again, white girl. He no longer has to pay child support, so he can afford to do other things, okay? You can afford private school and clothes and other kind of stuff when you don't have to come out your pocket every month to pay child support. When 25-30% of your take-home pay doesn't go to child support. Strange how things like that can happen.
Decided that parents who spend more time caring for their children should pay less in child support. His ex-wife didn't respond to a request for comment. But some legal scholars worry that financial incentives muddy what's in the best interest of children. A big concern with this law is that a lot of dads are going to say they want 50-50 custody when what they really want is to reduce their child support.
Hey. What's good for the goose is good for the goosey, okay? Okay. What is it? Let me pull this off. Where is this at, man? That's why I have this one, all right? Okay. All I can say to that one is what?
Sauce for the goose, Mr. Savick. The odds will be even.
Sauce for the goose, okay? The odds will be even. Women don't like that. Women like a rigged game,
said Ralph Richard Banks, a family law professor at Stanford. Holdsworth says that of the men he's met through the Father's rights movement, for maybe a third it was obvious to me that all they cared about was money. But, he added, most dads want their kids for the right reason. In Henderson, Kentucky, Jordan Piles, 32, and his ex-girlfriend Ashlyn Harrell, 29, broke up when she was still pregnant with their daughter, Breely. Piles said he didn't get to spend nearly as much time with Breely until Kentucky's legislature began debating the 50-50 law, when she was 3 years old. He explained that his ex became more amenable to joint custody when she knew it was going to become law. Every day I wasn't with my daughter was one less day of her childhood, and one less day I can make a positive influence on her life, said Piles, who works in construction sales. Harrell said she's been surprised by how well the equal parenting split has worked out. Knowing that she and Piles each have an equal stake in Briley's life, she said, has allowed them to work together better. When we first started, I was scared, nervous, all of the things, said Harrell, a homemaker. Jordan and I are two very different people, so it was worrisome. But it has really worked out smoothly for the most part. Briley Lockpiles, 11, now can't remember a time when she wasn't spending equal time with her mom and dad, as well as her step-parents and half-siblings on each side. Dancing around her dad's kitchen, snacking on a bag of popcorn, she said she feels bad for her friends who don't get to spend as much time with each of their divorced parents. The best part is definitely having 3 Christmases, she said, listing off her mom's, dad's, and grandparents. But on a real note, it's probably not having to miss out on seeing one side of my family for so long.
All right. Basically, this is a win, right? This is a win for the manosphere. Okay. They've been Trump. The thing is, the MRA's been taught about this, man, since the 80s, right? Okay, they couldn't get it done. Okay, but the manosphere and the pressure of the manosphere that put on marriage and put on the states are causing the shift, right? They said 20 more states are actually considering it, right? That's the way no fault divorce got in. It didn't come in all at once. It started in California. It took what 10 years for it to actually spread. So it's going to take time. It doesn't happen overnight. But the thing is, the pendulum is swinging in the right direction now. Rude Boy said, for women, everything is about money. Sure it is, okay? She ain't going to have a kid 24/7 and she's not going to get paid for it. That's how come she's more amenable, right? So co-parenting is the rule now, as it should have been, okay? I mean, back under real patriarchy, right? Basically, the kids belong to the father because he paid for them. Because he paid for them, right? Oh, here's another one. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, let's go ahead and play a short real quick. Here's something. I don't know how true this is going to be, but I hate that.
He wants to end the 50-50. Donald Trump is shaking up divorce laws with a bold new proposal. He wants to end the 50-50th asset split, arguing it's unfair to men. Trump believes women shouldn't automatically become rich after a divorce just because they married a successful man. Under his plan, ex-wives must prove financial need to receive support capped at $100,000. He insists, if I earned my money, I shouldn't have to give half away. Trump also suggests that if a mother can't afford to raise the kids, custody should go to the father. This proposal has sparked national debate. Some say it's fair, others call it unfair to women. What do you think? Is this a necessary reform or a step too far? Let us know in the comments and subscribe for more updates.
Hey, you know what? There's some things I don't like about Trump. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump, but hey, I'm here for this. Okay, I'm here for it. Now, Arkansas, West Virginia, Florida, and Missouri. Yeah, 4 more states. Yep. Yep. I mean, I'm here for it. They said the manosphere is useless, but I beg to differ. I beg to differ. See if I can find Darius M. because he did a pretty good video on it. Like I said, Kentucky had to do something, right? Kentucky had the highest divorce rate in the United States, okay? And Indiana was second. Like I said, Kentucky's divorce rate was almost 20%. 20%, okay? And we're not talking about an expensive state. Believe it or not, the expensive states like New York, California, places like that have the some of the lowest divorce rates. Believe it or not. But it probably because the marriage rate's not that high in those states. But the thing is that Kentucky had to do something. It's funny how money changes situation. Yes, it is. Okay. Yes, it does. The reason that the patriarchy and the 10 years doctrines came about is because women had gotten jobs and going into the factories. Okay, and they were leaving their husbands. Okay, because now I got my own money. I don't need you. Doesn't that sound familiar, right? When black women got welfare, okay? I got my check. I don't need you, right? See, where's Darius M? You know what says the bears, the bear, the bears, like tattoo. The plane. Oh boy, but yeah, the thing is that this is something that we're the two main thing that the black manosphere political agenda actually fights for is what? Two things, right? First is what? DNA testing at birth. That's another thing that has to go through. I think it will start going through as the anti-abortion rules go through. DNA testing at birth. And the second thing is 50-50 custody presumed, okay? Doesn't mean it's always going to happen, but presume you have to start from that. Not that the mother automatically gets the child 90% of the time. That's got to happen, right? And the manosphere is here for it. That's the manosphere is doing what it does. Is because you have to convince these guys that it's okay to be married and have a two-parent household. It's okay for you to have children. Okay? A lot of these guys and a lot of these people don't want to have kids or get married is because they know what the expenses are going to be. That's probably why you have a lot of Pookie and Ray Rays running around having kids, right? It's like and these women are having, you know, having kids by the small 20% of guys. It's because they have nothing to lose. And when you hear them talk, like on Kendra G's, in fact, though, Messi Mashan was actually talking about this. Okay, I might play a little bit of that later. She was cussing a lot. I might play some of that. I might do that. Maybe what is today? Tuesday, maybe Thursday. I'll play that with Messi Mashan talking about. It was really funny because she says Kendra G's channel, right? There was 41. Was it 41 baby mamas? And had was it 100 baby daddies and 141 kids, something like that. Okay, 141 kids, something like that, or 180 kids. 100, I think it was, yeah, it might have been that. Now I think it was 141 kids, and she was cussing. Okay, so I might play that one on Thursday about Misty Mashan because that's another thing. Okay. This Thursday's government shutdown will now include 100,000 permanent federal layoffs. We'll have to see, man. We don't know. We don't know. We'll talk about that when we get to it. Now you need the Wizard of Oz soundbite. Lions, tigers, and bears. Oh my, I heard that. Black women can have the bear. I choose the bears. Okay. Hey, well, we gonna feed. If they want bears, we're gonna feed them to the bears. Okay. Here, all right. You want the bear? Here he goes. You take care of him while I run. Okay. Bear ain't gonna get me today. Judge Joe Brown mentioned how there were a small number of men that fathered many children that came through his court, like 5 guys have. Yep. That's not unusual. I've seen guys. The most I've seen, personally, that I've seen is one guy. He had 4 baby mamas. He had 13 or 14 kids. I think North Carolina has a child support cap. PJ, oh yeah, it does. I think Texas does too. Michonne cracks. Yeah, man, I was rolling. Man. I was rolling with Missy Michonne, man. Anyhow, y'all, let me get out of here, man. Let me go ahead and punch out a little early. I'll play a little of this from Darius M, and then we'll punch out of here. But the thing is, don't let anybody tell you that the red pill and the manosphere is not working, because I'm noticing even in the feminist spaces, right? Yeah, the red pill is all the rage in the feminist spaces right now. Okay, the manosphere and male loneliness and the red pill are all the rage, man. They used to ignore us, but now they can't keep our names out of their mouths. Play a little bit, even though she's gonna go over the.
Scrolling through TikTok, I saw a video from a Wall Street journalist talking about the divorce rate in Kentucky, and she claimed that the divorce rate in Kentucky is declining significantly compared to the rest of the country, like a 25% decrease.
Divorce rates are dropping in Kentucky percent nationwide.
I'm gonna go date. I'm gonna do whatever. See, when the courts incentivize women, when they give them alimony, child support, assets, the house, of course women are like, man, I'm going to take that deal. I'm going to take as much as I can. I'm going
to cash out and be good, because I got what I need from the man. I'm bored. He's not pleasing me. I'm going to bounce, right? Because I can afford to, right?
You look like the bad person. I'm going to falsely accuse you of stuff in court. And then after that, I'm going to go on and
Yeah, 192 kids. Yeah, why? Yeah, it was funny as hell, SL. Funny as hell. Might do that one on Thursday.
and go in the streets. I'm going to go date. I'm going to do whatever I want. It's a sick business, man. If you're a man and you still get married, man, listen, you a fool.
They're divorcing because they're tired of doing everything.
There are reports coming out of Kentucky that the divorce rate has completely plummeted. 25%. It's gone down 25%. Like, that's significant. You know, when the divorce rate nationally rests, I don't know, I think a little bit above 50%. To have it drop 25% in one state means to pay attention. It's a reason to pay attention. The only explanation there is for this is because Kentucky passed a law that all custody settlements start exactly 50-50 between the parents. In other words, Kentucky has removed the mother bias that exists across the board in this country when it comes to divorce and custody. As a result, the divorce rate has plummeted. That's interesting. It makes one wonder a bit, doesn't it? It makes one wonder if there is an incentive to get divorced, you know, or a reward, a financial reward for getting divorced. And as soon as you get rid of that reward or that incentive, that's interesting. Every state needs to pass this law.
I was just walking down the street to go get my medication because I'm out and I need it for today. And I saw a woman walking her 2 kids, and she had this look on her face. And I looked at her, we made eye contact, we both kind of nodded. Like we were both just devastated. And you could just tell in her eyes.
Do you think after a divorce, it's fair to have a 50-50 split of assets?
Fuck no. That is ridiculous to me. Like, no.
Oh, I saw some eyebrows. I'm looking
No,
forward to these
I
explanations.
I think what you bring into the marriage is what you should leave with. I think a prenuptial agreement should just always be a mandatory thing that you do.
Look how she's looking. Because she's like, I ain't agreeing with that.
I ain't agree
I want
with
that
that.
money. I want those cash and prizes. Forget a prenup.
Because like, how are you going to explain, say a guy and his family have like had a family owned business and then he marries some girl and then they've got to halve that? I think that's ridiculous. I think you need to, unless that girl wants to like be a more submissive partner, but if most women aren't.
Yes.
But what if when you file for divorce, you knew that your spouse would get 50-50 custody?
Ooh.
Would that affect your decision?
Ooh.
Kentucky has a law where 50-50 is the default. Now, obviously, there are exceptions if there's, you know, domestic violence or whatever, but the default is 50-50. So not like Detroit where the default is every other weekend. If you knew your ex was going to get the kids 50% of the time right off, would that affect your decision to file for divorce?
Today, this country has proven to us that they hate women. And I fear that things are not going to get better. This is not moving in the direction of things becoming better.
Trying to stay calm today. Woke up this morning. Decided that we were wearing all black today because this is the death of the country as we know it.
One state just nuked its divorce rates by doing one rare thing that the rest of America would never dare. They made 50-50 custody the default. If there's no abuse, fathers get equal time with the children, plain and simple. And the divorce rates imploded overnight in Kentucky. When women realize they can't weaponize the kids, they think twice before filing for divorce. And the system that runs on male disposability, well, when you take that away, suddenly irreconcilable differences doesn't sound so irreconcilable anymore.
Did you know one state act?
Yep. Say it again, white man. Say it again, okay? No more free lunch. Yep. If DJT wants to distract from the Epstein files, he should continue with things like for men and boys. Yeah, like this for men and boys. Yep, I agree. No more free lunches, okay? DV accusation going to go through the roof? Yeah. The thing is, you got to prove it though. Okay. They don't accept your word for it no more. You got to prove it. That's what Kentucky says. You just because you filed doesn't mean anything, right? If you didn't do it to the kids, okay, it doesn't mean nothing. Okay. Doesn't mean anything, okay? Unless you got bruises on the kids, you can prove it. Basically, if you got bruises on the kids, CPI will take care of it. No more free lunch. No soup for you, okay? Men should file divorce more if 50-50 was nationwide. I don't know. That's a good question. We have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. Gundam says fairness is punishment to them. Yes, it is. DV is decided in common court, not family court. Common court isn't a court of equity. It's family court is. Yes. I don't even think family court's a court of equity. I think it's one side. I think it's gynocracy. Anyhow, y'all, that is my time. Okay. I'm going to go get me some ice cream, and then I am going to get out of here. Thanks for the Cash App, Johnny Vegas. Appreciate you, okay? Yeah, good people, let me roll on out, and I will see you guys tomorrow, okay? If you guys got suggestions, and there's some of you actually want me to look at, if it's interesting enough people actually want me to look at it, hit me up in the comments or email me, and point me to it. Because it's kind of hard to determine what you guys actually what's actually rise to the point where it's actually worth to actually show. Okay, I might do Dr. L's thing tomorrow. With the female fuckery, because it was hilarious. It was so funny because I've been through that. Okay, and Dr. L's is very patient. Okay, he's very patient and very calm and very measured. And she was just running over him like a steamroller. Okay, but she actually wanted out of the interview because she found out that he was actually questioning her material, right? And she was trying to figure out a way to actually argue her way out of it. But the thing is, he wouldn't let her out. Okay, he wouldn't. That's what I said. Don't even argue with her. Let her talk. Okay, because she's trying to find a way to actually end the interview because she actually wants to get out with her dignity. Okay, and he let her talk, and guess what? She dug her own grave. Even with the women, she dug her own grave. There is a Section 8 video out that would be good for you to do. It's hilarious. You know, I want to see what's going to happen with Section 8 after the fiscal year. That's what I want to see because there's going to be a government lockdown. But the thing is, Section 8 and SNAP and welfare is on the chopping block. I want to see what happens after that happens. Okay, good people. Let me roll out, and I will see you guys tomorrow, okay?
What can I say? Mamba out.